welcome to our visitors, and I just want to say that today's is going to be a kind of a short and sweet little message on attitude adjustments. You know, we all have things that we need to deal with our attitudes, and so I thought it would be a good time, especially this time of year as we all struggle. Everybody does, you know, as we hit the holidays, we get busy, you know, and we need to remember that as we get in good moods or bad moods, you know, our thoughts are what create our mood. You know, the world refers to this as an attitude, but it really stems from what thoughts we have. So when it comes to your attitude, the roots may be hidden, but the fruit is always visible. You know, your attitude can either be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy, you know, and it can either draw people to you or drive people away from you. And so you're responsible for that, guys. You're responsible for your own thought life, because everything manifests from what's inside of you. So if you want to succeed, you know, in every area of your life, from your relationships to, you know, to your business, you need to learn to tame your thoughts. And that's what stems that good attitude, bad attitude, and what will create success. And so again, why would I be bringing forth this topic? We hear a lot about positive thinking and affirmations and all that stuff. But again, I think people are very distracted right now. People are disengaged. I feel it in our team. I'm hearing about it on other calls out there. People just seem to be disjointed right now. And as the end of the year approaches, many people question, what did I accomplish this year? You know, perhaps you're looking at your business that way, saying, well, you know, I didn't do what I set out to do, and that's discouraging. Some people are actually still stuck in election mode. You know, that they're tuned into the news and it's consuming their thoughts, and they really can't even put one foot in front of the other because they're still stuck in there. But our thoughts determine our destiny. So with any of those things, you know, if you're thinking about the holidays, for instance, you know, I didn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, and I'm worried about money, and how am I going to have Christmas, and how am I going to pay my bills? Those thoughts manifest into your destiny. So I love the serenity prayer that I have here on the screen. I frankly say it often, and that is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. That's a good stopping point right there. You know, do we dwell on things that we can't change? Are we consumed by things that we have no power over? It doesn't make any sense to stay stuck in that. So we need to accept the things we cannot change. We need to find somehow the courage to change the things we can. But I think probably most importantly is we need the wisdom to know the difference. You know, we cannot stay consumed with things that we can't change. We need to stay instead consumed with the things that we know that we can change, and allow that positivity to just run through our whole being. You know, you make the biggest difference in your own destiny. It all comes down to you. It's not any outside factor. It's not any outside influence. It all comes down to you and what your thoughts are and how you're looking at life, really. You're absolutely, totally in control. You know, there's a saying that says, you can't control the birds that fly over your head, but you can decide whether or not you're going to let them build a nest in your hair. You do have control over that. So you can't make them not fly over you, but you can absolutely not allow them to move in with you. You know, Paul in the Bible said, casting out down imaginations and bringing into captivity every thought. Who does that? You do that. You have control of your thoughts. You know, so we're commanded to cast down our imaginations and to bring into captivity every thought. So, you know, if there's some sort of step or some sort of something that you need to do to learn how to do that, you have to do that. Nothing else does that. Even if you're a person of faith and you say all these fluffy prayers and you ask God to control your thoughts, but trust me, you're in control of your thoughts. You have to do that. You are responsible yourself for what you think about. So, you know, if you're thinking about, oh my goodness, I don't have enough money for Christmas, and oh my goodness, I didn't do what I set out to do, and oh my goodness, is this business right for me? All these things that you're thinking are holding you captive. You're not holding them captive. So you and only you can take captive of your thoughts, and you and only you can cause you to think about good things, successful things, victorious things, you know. And until you learn to do that, guys, not only will you not find peace and fulfillment and joy in this life, but you cannot succeed. So a lot of, you know, I think as we look out there, we see so many people struggling, me included. I'm always preaching to myself, guys, you know, but we look out there, you know, we can't succeed until we learn to take captive those thoughts. And so it's always up to us. And it's how we perceive life, you know, a big part of that attitude that we talked about, you know. There was a man, I didn't write down his name. I'm sorry for that, but he was a Nazi prisoner, and he just endured. I don't know how anybody endured that. He came out of the Nazi prison camps, but he did, and he was noted for being a man that was always smiling. I'm sure it pretty annoyed the people around him, the guards and whatever, but he would wear a smile all the time. And when somebody said, how can you smile in the middle of all this? He said, they can enslave me, they can torture me, they can starve me, but they cannot control my thoughts, nor can they control how I respond to what they do to me. So is it a wonder that he was a survivor? And I think that we can think, train ourselves to think the same way. We live in a world with a lot of outside influence, a lot of things we can't control. But those circumstances, those outward things cannot control us unless we let them. So it's how we perceive them to be. And we need to kind of take that, winning spirit attitude that, nobody can control our thoughts and they can't control how we respond to life. It's up to us, We need to determine and to be committed to being survivors. So this man didn't just survive hell on earth. He thrived through hell on earth, and guess what? So can you, and so can I. We can actually thrive through all that we're going through. So we're in control. It's not about what happens to you in life or in business. It really isn't. We talk about people over and over, Steve Jobs and Michael Jordan and Thomas Edison and all these people who saw so many failures, and so many of us say, well, I can't do this. I failed at that. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Successful people have a winning attitude. They don't look at those things as failure. So it's not about what happens to you in life or in your business or what doesn't happen. It's all about how you think about what happens, because it's what you think about that propels your response over what happens to you in life or your business. It's how you perceive it. We talk about children, or I bring children into it a lot. And you think about, before a child is programmed, if you will, to think about failure or to feel defeated, you'll see a toddler get up and fall down and get up and fall down and get up and fall down. They don't know what it means to fail. They just continue to get up. They haven't been programmed to say, oh, I'm a loser, I keep falling down. And so we have to somehow get back to that sweet little mentality, that looks at things in a different way, because the way that we approach our problems and our challenges are absolutely going to determine our destiny. And it all begins with thoughts. You, again, control your thoughts, and only you can bring them into captivity. Nobody else can do that for you. It's nobody else's problem. It's nobody else's, influence in your life. It's all about you, whether you want to control those thoughts. Do you want to sit there and think broke and think defeated and thinking incompetent and think inferior and think you can't do it? Then that is your destiny. But if you want other things in your life, you've got to learn to take control, hold captive those thoughts, and take control of where you are, and take charge. Once again, we read in the Bible, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is lovely, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is admirable, pardon me, all these things, we're supposed to think about those things. And that translates into, by the way, stop your stinking thinking. We are commanded to think about good things. We're commanded to hold captive our thoughts. But are we doing it? And the bottom line is most of us aren't. So we've got to stop that stinking thinking. If you're sitting there worried, for instance, about the holidays, I don't have enough money, I like to buy gifts, I can't buy gifts. Well, guys, you're manifesting everything for yourself. We've got to stop thinking that. So if what you're saying and whatever you're speaking, if it's not of good rapport, if it isn't positive and uplifting, stop saying it. And if what you read or what you watch on television, what you're consuming your life with, keeping Fox News on, whatever, if it isn't uplifting and it isn't of good rapport, stop putting it in your head. You're responsible for your thought life, and it's what you put in your mind that's going to manifest into your attitude. You are absolutely 100% in control. So your destiny, your thought life will determine your destiny. And so we need to be careful of our thoughts, because our thoughts become our words. Those things we think are going to come spitting out eventually. And we need to be careful of our words, because our words become our actions. If we think negative things, we start speaking negative things, we start acting in negative ways, And then be careful of our actions, because our actions become our habits. You look at people who gossip, for instance. They learn to gossip, but man, it's a habit. They cannot shut up, and they can't help themselves from speaking negative, 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 picking on people. It becomes a habit. So you have to be careful with your actions, because your actions can become your habit. And then be careful of your habits, because your habits become your character. That defines who you are. So all of this happens, every single part of that. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character, and your character has seen its destiny. All of it comes into play because of how you choose to think. It all starts with your thoughts. So you're responsible for your thought life. And if you want to see victory, and you want to see joy, and you want to see success, and you want to see prosperity, you have no choice but to learn to control your thoughts. And then there's resistance. You have a destiny. I have a destiny bigger than this business, by the way. But if we aren't reaching it, if we aren't reaching for it, if we aren't working and fighting for it, we're wasting our life. That's a bottom line. It sounds pretty harsh, but it's true. What are we here for? Just to take up space and to breathe? I mean, what are we really here for? We have a destiny, and we need to be reaching hard for it, And people say, well, everything's against me. I run into all this resistance, and it's just not easy. This business is hard. Well, you know what? Suck it up, because of course you're running into resistance. Without resistance in what you're doing, the bottom line is what you're doing is not worth it. If everything in life is easy and it takes no effort and there's no resistance, none of us, we'd all be slugs. None of us would do anything. It's resistance of water that makes it possible for a ship to float. And it's a resistance of air that makes it possible for a plane to fly. And it's a resistance of gravity that makes it possible for me to sit here in my office chair today and talk to you. But, resistance is a part of life for everything that's good. And so, again, it's that thought process. How are you looking at resistance? You look at resistance as defeat. You look at resistance as you can't do it, you won't do it, there's no way to do it. Do you look at it and just tell yourself these lies that you'll never be able to do anything just because it's tough? Let me tell you, everything in life that's good is worth fighting through resistance for. And everything you do that has any meaning at all, you're going to see resistance. You'll see it in a marriage. You'll see it as a parent. You'll see it as in relationships with friends. You'll see it as you try to grow your business. You'll see it in every area of your life. So it's time to grow up and understand that you're going to see resistance. It's how you work through it that makes all the difference. And it all comes down to adversity, doesn't it? Gosh, I've had a life of adversity. I'm literally writing a book about adversity, and but I would not choose to relive through things I've been through, but I wouldn't change my life for anything, because every step of that adversity has made me stronger, and every step of that adversity that I fought my way through has given me an opportunity to be able to share with another, to help them in their journey, right? So adversity, or quote-unquote failure, is the way we grow and learn and become all that we're intended to be. So you're not going to get easy street. It isn't going to happen. But you can make a big difference in the way you think about your life, the way you think about your business, and the way you take captive your thoughts so that your destiny can be fulfilled positively and not negatively at the end of the day. And then we need to move on. Paul said, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. We need to work toward that goal to win the prize. So forgetting what is behind. Now, I do say that, if we forgot every bad thing that ever happened to us, we would never learn from our mistakes. That's not what it means. But basically, it means move on. It is what it is. Whatever you went through, you lost a job, you lost a marriage, you lost your money, you lost a house, whatever it is, we need to put it behind us, right? Forgetting is a conscious choice of your will. It doesn't happen by, people say, well, I can't forget and I can't stop thinking. That's not true. You choose to not stop, to not move on. You're choosing to dwell in your own mind where you came from. You need to set it aside. We're commanded to forget about, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what's in the future. So you choose to make that, to move on or to not move on. You forget about the last time you failed. Learn from it. Dissect it. What happened in that situation? Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I end up with the sale? Why, what about that situation caused me to fail? Could be it wasn't you at all. But you got to forget about the last time you failed. Look at it as a stepping stone and a learning opportunity, so the next time you're less likely to fail, right? Forget about the hurt you felt. I mean, I've got people in my life that have been, divorced or widowed for 20 years and they don't shut up. How long are you going to talk about it? You got hurt, he got hurt, or she got hurt. Everybody gets hurt in that situation. It's time to forget about forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. Because again, guys, the more you dwell on those things, that's who you are. And that is your painting your destiny. You can't find joy if you keep dwelling on, I lost my job, I lost my money, I can't Christmas shop, whatever it is running through your head. You cannot break through and you cannot see success. You cannot find peace and joy until you learn forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. So forget about the last time you hurt. Forget about the brokenness of the past. It's done. It can't be changed. It's over. It's finished. So why do we keep rolling it around in our heads? Put it behind you. There's nothing that we can't endure through. Think about it for a second. The guy in the Nazi prison camp, none of us on this call can even begin to imagine what that hell was like. But if just by, taking captive thoughts and just by saying they can't, they cannot control my mind. They cannot control how I deal with this. Just think about that. You think about somebody enduring something like that, and then we look at the problems in our own life and say, it's too hard, it's too big, somebody hurt me, somebody said something mean, I was divorced 110 years ago. Whatever it is, the brokenness has to be put in the past, and you need to press on to good things ahead. What you are in control of your thoughts, and your thoughts will control your destiny. So really, if you hope for good things for yourself, successful things and fulfilling things, you have no choice but to take captive those thoughts. And as long as you're mulling them around in your head, as long as you allow them to exist, as long as you give time and attention to them, that's actually who you are. You may have seen, for instance, failure. Well, as long as you're still thinking that, you're still a failure. You can't move on. You can't see success. If all you do is dwell about how somebody hurt you, you can never move on and find a better relationship. And I don't mean just a romantic one, but with friendships and all that, because you're still living with all that dirt in your head. You've got to press on to the good things ahead. So what's it going to be? Will you learn to hold captive your thoughts once and for all? Will you work diligently? Believe me, oh my gosh, if you could get inside my head, I would scare most of you, right? It is a willful thing to have to work against those thoughts. I do it all day long. I have those thoughts, right? I have to fight what's going on in my head. And if I don't, when I get weak and I don't take the steps and I don't fight through those thoughts, guess what? I don't have a good day. I'm not succeeding. I'm not moving forward. I'm not taking steps to be more successful. I'm not doing anything unless I learn to hold captive those thoughts once and for all. So will you change your thought process if you know that it determines your destiny? Will you even bother? Or are you sitting there saying, she doesn't know what she's talking about because I got all these problems. And I don't really care what the problems are. It comes down to we're commanded to think about good things and to hold captive our thoughts and to move on. That's what we're commanded to do. So don't shoot the messenger, right? It doesn't really matter what's gone on in your life. It's all relative, and whatever it is, it happened for a purpose, trust me. And so, will you, change your thought process to determine your destiny or live in the past? You're going to just stay where you are. If you're happy with where you are, if everybody on this line or anybody on this line could say, I love everything about my life. I have all the money I'll ever need. I have all the health I'll ever need. Every relationship I have is perfect. Well, you know what? You're walking on water, and I'd love to meet you in person, okay? Because it doesn't work that way. Life is difficult, and it's full of challenges, and the older we get, the harder the challenges fly, right? But we have to remember that we have to accept the things we cannot change and have courage to change the things we can, and it begins with your thoughts. So if you want life to be different for you, if you want your finances to be different this coming year, this coming month actually, if you want everything to be different, then you need to care enough about that difference to begin to work within you. It all begins with our thoughts. And so, you know, I know that, again, we talk a lot about affirmations. There are millions of things that you can do that we've talked about in the past that will help you fill your head with good things. But it's also it's almost like a battle. As those thoughts hit your mind, you've got to fill your mind with something different than those thoughts. Your thoughts will determine your destiny. And so that's a short and sweet message out there for all, and I hope that there was something in there for you. There was certainly something in there for me. And so I'm going to try it one more time. I don't know if the panel's going to cooperate for us today, but I am going to try here to see if I can unmute people. And so far, it doesn't look like I can, and I'm sorry about that. I can only hope you guys have heard me, right? I've given this lesson. Well, at least it's recorded, so if you couldn't hear it, then, you know, my apologies out there, but it is being recorded. So I guess I'll just conclude it since I can't get the lines to open up to hear from you. I'd certainly love to hear from you after a message like this, and I just pray good things for you. You know, we are in the midst of the holiday season, a joyful time, a great time of celebration, a time when we'll, you know, be spending with the people that we love the most in life, and a time to reflect on the birth of our Savior, you know. But if we're not careful, it can be a very difficult time. It can be a depressing time. It can be lots of things, you know, that it's not intended to be unless you control your thoughts. So think good things, help your destiny along. Don't live in the past. Press on. Keep pressing on, and learn to determine with wisdom those things you can change, cannot change, and have the courage to change all the things you can. So on that note, you guys be blessed. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, there will be a recording of this call. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.